Hello, my name is Landon Valk and welcome to Magic Spiral. This year I graduated to owning a reel-to-reel machine. I wanted to share my experience with the format by showcasing the pitfalls and the discoveries that I've encountered along the way. Hopefully you'll be able to decide if this is a format worth investing in. But first, some history. Hitler used a secret technology to broadcast his speeches remotely. This German-engineered machine used during World War II was a magnetic tape recorder called the magnetophone. After the war, this technology was brought to America, where it was used to broadcast pre-recorded radio programs. It found its way into recording studios, becoming the dominant audio recording format for decades. Thanks in part to Les Paul, magnetic tape machines soon increased in the number of available tracks. We went from having single-track recording machines to eventually having 24 tracks and more. Many advancements to the format have been made over the years, and magnetic tape is still used in many studios, but has been replaced by digital recordings. Pro Tools made its debut in 1989 as a virtual tape machine and has since become an industry standard for audio recording and editing. Now that we have a sense of historical value, let's dive in and make some recordings. We'll be using the Fostex M-80, an 8-track analog recorder that uses 1/4-inch tape on 7-inch reels that spin tape at a speed of 15 inches per second. This is a prosumer model not unlike the ones you'd find in project studios and schools. This model only has one single playback and record head along with a separate erase head. High-end and professional reel-to-reels use separate playback and record heads. We'll see the benefit of having separate heads as we go. On the back panel, we have the dreaded unbalanced RCA in and outputs commonly offered on these prosumer machines. There's ports for remotes and foot switches, along with a switch for noise reduction. On the front is a modest transport control panel with a digital time display. We can see that there isn't much offered here in the way of editing, making the format far less forgiving than computer-based recording. I bought this machine on Reverb, and needless to say it was not 100% record ready. Let's assemble everything we're going to need to get this thing up and running, starting with the tape. The idea of fidelity with tape is the more tape that passes over the heads, the greater the sound quality will be, and the less tape hiss we will have. Each tape machine uses a different tape width and reel size. There's 1/4-inch, 1/2-inch, 1-inch, and 2-inch wide tape that's generally used. Reels also come in a variety of sizes. Tape comes in different lengths which offer varying recording times. For example, this 7-inch reel with a tape length of 1,250 feet will get us roughly 15 minutes of recording time at 15 inches per second. Higher-end machines can run tape up to 30 inches per second. Larger reels can carry longer tape lengths. Fortunately, there's still a few companies manufacturing blank tapes. These can be found on their websites, or eBay, Reverb, and even Amazon. 1/4-inch tape reels are the least expensive, costing around $35 for a blank 7-inch reel. If you have a 2-inch machine, likely you're willing to spend $300 for a new reel of blank tape. The other thing to consider is tape biasing. Each machine is set up for a recommended tape formulation. You'll need to have some empty reels as well, which aren't too difficult to find. The tape is rubbing against the reel on my machine. This can be fixed with an additional piece or by making an adjustment. Along with the empty tape reels, you need to have the tape hubs, caps, and adapters, so make sure your machine has them before you buy them because they can be difficult and expensive to find. My machine came with the reel caps, but no tapes or empty reels. So now we have blank tapes and reels, but we aren't quite ready to record. First, we'll need some cleaners and a demagnetizer, rubber renew or other conditioner for the rubber pinch rollers, and a head cleaning solution. Heads need to be cleaned and demagnetized regularly before recording sessions. Demagnetizing heads is something to be careful doing because you don't want to erase your tapes and damage the equipment. Make sure the power to the tape machine is off, then come in slowly, nearly touching the heads, then slowly move away. Many also like to demag the metal guides and capstan as well. Now that we've cleaned and demagnetized our machine, let's record. Oh wait, we're not ready. We are going to need a calibration tape because tape machines have to be aligned and calibrated in order to record and play back properly. If we don't do this, then the audio signal recorded onto the tape will not be what is played back. A misaligned tape machine can lead to problematic or unusable recordings. You can only get these tapes from MRL, or Magnetic Reference Laboratory. My manual listed the part number, and I spent around $120 to get a 1/4-inch calibration tape sent to me. If you think that's a lot of money, be glad you don't own a 2-inch machine. Now that we have our calibration tape, we just need the right cables to connect the tape machine to the mixer. Different cables are needed depending on your mixer and tape machine. A common combination would be an RCA to 1/4-inch snake, but my mixer uses DB25. Unfortunately, I had to spend around $100 per cable because there aren't any modestly priced unbalanced snakes currently being produced. Welcome to the world of reel-to-reel. We've made connections to the mixer, now let's thread the calibration tape. The full reel will be loaded on the right, an empty reel on the left. We're going to start by threading this machine backwards. Now rewind the tape. This is the way to keep tape on its original or preferred reel, as well as ensuring the tape is threaded right side up. We want the dull side facing outward away from the head and its shiny side facing towards the head. Once the tape is rewound, we'll thread the tape from the supply reel over the tension arm, under the guides, under the heads, between the capstan and pinch roller, under the tension arm, which also functions as a safety switch. This switch stops the motors from spinning when the tension arm from the tape stops holding it. Now we have to work the tape through the take-up reel, and this is the tricky part that takes some practice. Now let's calibrate. This Fostex M-80 is not friendly. I have to awkwardly angle this machine with the plugs in the back to have access to the bottom panel. I need to reference the manual so I can see exactly where the dedicated pots are that calibrate each track. Higher-end machines allow for much easier access to these servicing parts. Now to play the calibration tape and align the playback output level of each track one by one.
MRL calibration tape, IEC equalization at 200 nanowebers per meter. 1 kilohertz at reference flexibility.
Rewind tape. Align tape and tape head azimuth.
125 hertz. 8 kilohertz, coarse azimuth set.
Rewind and repeat.
125 hertz.
And repeat. And repeat. I heard test tones in my sleep.
250 hertz.
Now that that's finished, we need to thread blank tape into the machine to record test tones. We need to calibrate the record input levels to match those of playback. I used an app on my phone to generate the tones and followed the manual's instructions. This is tumultuous as hell with a single head. You constantly need to switch between record and playback monitoring, rewind, playback, and start again with every fine-tune adjustment. This entire process took me several hours. Granted, this was my first time. As long as we keep up with it on a regular basis, we'll only need to fine-tune along the way. Now that we've cleaned, demagnetized, and calibrated our machine, we're finally ready to thread blank tape and arm some tracks. I have a sequence from my MIDI rig that I want to record onto tracks 1 through 6, leaving 7 and 8 open. I'll arm the tracks and set the levels using the mixer. I only have one single record playback head in my machine, so I can't monitor what's actually being recorded to tape. I'll have to run a test recording and check the levels on playback by switching back and forth between playback and record modes, both on the tape machine and the mixer. When everything looks good, I will allow some time to pass on the tape and mark 0 on the counter. If we plan on using another tape machine in the future, a reference tone should be recorded so playback volumes will be consistent between machines. It's also not a bad idea to slate or ID the tape by stating the session information. September 1st, 2018, Starlight Sun, take 1. Stay organized, kids. Okay, press record and let's roll some tape. Tape is a linear format, so we have to keep tape rolling for takes, or rewind to the beginning to start again. Okay, that performance works for me. There's 2 tracks left. I'm going to use them to bounce a stereo mix and make room for 6 more tracks. The routing for bouncing is all done within the mixer. I'll arm tracks 7 and 8 and record the stereo mix of everything we had on tracks 1 through 6. We're going to be stuck with this mix and we'll suffer some quality loss, but it's not the end of the world. Now we have 6 tracks free. I'm going to record stereo guitars on tracks 1 and 2, acoustic guitar on track 3, a bass guitar on track 4, and acoustic drums on tracks 5 and 6. Tracking is going to work the same, set levels and record. Before we roll tape, we can do some interesting things with the vari-speed controls. I like to play tape back at a higher speed when I'm recording drums, so they have a nice detuned sound when pitched back to normal speed. If a mistake is made, rewind and start again from the top, or try punching in. Locators help you get around the tape to find certain spots easily. Want to punch in on that first chorus? Set the memory location. There is no time code with analog tape unless you're compromising a track to use SMPTE. Now our 8 tracks are filled and we have to create a mix. Traditionally, this is done by recording to a stereo master deck, but we can record to any device we can connect to. There's not much in the way of editing without physically splicing tape or using 2 tracks or more as separate takes. The takes are then mixed together and recorded onto an empty bounce track. If it's a vocal track, for example, you'll need to go line by line and select the take you like for each line and mix between the tracks to create a single take on an empty track. If we want the individual tracks to be recorded to a computer, we will need an audio interface with as many inputs as we have tracks. In this case, there's 8 to be connected directly from the tape machine or mixer. Now we've made a successful recording with reel-to-reel, but the work is never really done. Now that we've made a recording, we have to clean and maintain our machine regularly. Tape storage is something to consider, not only organizing with proper labeling and track sheets, but they are perishable and won't last forever. We're talking about an electromagnetic tape machine full of gears, pulleys, and levers. There is a likeliness that things can go wrong, which is one of the many reasons people have steered far, far away from the format. Tape heads will wear over time, but can be recapped. Belts can perish, but can be replaced. There are some parts that can be next to impossible to find by themselves. It's like anything with moving parts. You have to take care of it, but it can cost you. So what do you think? Are the drawbacks enough to keep you away? Or is having that analog sound with a hands-on deck experience worth it to you? Personally, I love having a reel-to-reel machine. If anything, I've learned so much about the recording process. Remember, you are free to record whatever you want using the format of your choice, so go out there and make some music. I'm Landon with Magic Spiral Productions. Happy recording. And now, the final mix.